Breaking, Lions family, it's Thursday, and we're already counting down to our next battle. Every week in the NFL is a brand new chapter, and we all know nothing comes easy. That's why focus has to be at the highest level, because when that football goes up, that's when we show our true identity. This team has grit, it has heart, and it has a fan base that pushes them from start to finish. And that's exactly what I want to talk with you about today. Preparation, confidence, and what to expect from our Detroit Lions in this upcoming game. So do me a favor, hit that like button to support the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, which player do you believe will step up and shine in this next matchup? Let's ride together, because this journey is just getting started, and we're going a long way. Let's go Lions! What if I told you that the Detroit Lions are quietly moving the chess pieces that could reshape the rest of the season? Moves that at first glance might look small, but when you look deeper, they could end up being the difference between just competing and actually dominating. Let's start with something that might have slipped under the radar, the addition of linebacker Monty Rice to the roster. At 26 years old, drafted back in 2021, Rice brings a resume that includes 29 combined tackles, 70 solo stops, 59 assists, and 3 quarterback hurries. Now, some fans might shrug and say, it's just a practice squad move. But think about how often those so-called small moves have turned into lifesavers for this team. Remember Dan Skipper? Pulled up from the practice squad, filled in big when the team needed him most. That's exactly why Brad Holmes keeps turning over every rock, searching for depth. You never know which of these names is going to step into the spotlight when injuries hit or opportunities open up. And we know injuries are already shaping this season. Jamarco Jones is gone for the year. So every addition matters. Now let's pivot to a name fans have been buzzing about, Isaac TeSlaa. Against the Packers, he barely saw the field. Just 3 offensive snaps. Yet in those limited moments, he still made a big catch. The kind of play that makes you stop and wonder why he isn't out there more often. Dan Campbell himself admitted that needs to change. Campbell said TeSlaa looked good, felt good, and that the team will start giving him more reps, and you could see how much it meant to the kid. Yes, he scored his first touchdown, but when he spoke afterward, it was clear that all he really wanted was the win. This is someone who dreamed of playing in the NFL, of making those big plays in iconic stadiums, and he doesn't want the moment to be about personal highlights. He wants it to translate into victories for the team. At 6 feet 4 inches, TeSlaa is exactly the kind of big-bodied receiver who can turn contested throws into momentum-shifting plays. The Lions need that presence on the field. If they truly want to stretch defenses and open up opportunities for the offense, giving him more snaps has to be part of the plan going forward. And speaking of motivation, Amon-Ra St. Brown gave us one of the most honest and entertaining moments of the week when he talked about Ben Johnson's return, only this time, not as Detroit's offensive coordinator, but as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. St. Brown didn't hold back. He said, "Week 2 is going to be crazy. It's going to be electric. But as soon as Ben Johnson walks in there, we're booing him. I don't care. We're all booing him." That's not just talk. That's a window into the locker room mindset. The players feel it. The chip on their shoulders is real. They're not just facing another opponent. They're facing the coach who walked away from Detroit to lead their rival. That kind of betrayal doesn't just fade. It fuels every snap, every tackle, every play. And you better believe the fans inside Ford Field are going to echo that same energy. Dan Campbell, as always, struck a different tone when asked about Johnson's return. He dismissed the idea of stressing over trick plays, saying the focus needs to be on fundamentals, stopping the run, preventing explosive plays, doing the basics right. He made it clear that if the Lions lock in on their own assignments, the rest will take care of itself. That's classic Campbell. Keep the noise outside. Control what you can control inside. But still, the underlying tension is impossible to ignore. This home opener is not just another game. It's about pride, revenge, and setting the tone for the season after a disappointing loss in Green Bay. And if the roster moves and coaching storylines weren't enough, let's talk rumors. A to Z Sports recently floated some intriguing names that could bolster Detroit's defense. One of them is free agent DeMarcus Walker, a 6 feet 4 inches, 280-pound edge rusher who last year notched 25 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 16 quarterback hits. Not elite numbers, but definitely production the Lions could use, especially if the pass rush continues to sputter. Then there are the trade options. Azeez Ojulari from the Philadelphia Eagles for a 7th-round pick. Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins for a 6th. Arden Key from the Tennessee Titans for a 5th. None of these proposals are blockbuster deals, but that's the point. They're affordable, realistic moves that could give Detroit's defensive line exactly the kind of reinforcements it needs. Ojulari alone had 6 sacks last year and could be had for a late pick the Lions won't even miss. And let's be honest, how many 7th rounders are even cracking this stacked roster in 2026? That's where things get interesting. Because right now, Detroit has a window to strengthen its depth, adjust to injuries, and keep the momentum alive before the season's toughest stretch truly kicks in. These aren't splashy headlines, they're quiet, strategic plays. But the kind of plays that championship teams make. That's the bigger picture here. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell aren't leaving anything to chance. They're keeping their options open, scanning every possibility, making sure this team has the weapons it needs on both sides of the ball. And now I'll leave it with you, Lions fans. Do you want to see more of Isaac Tesla on the field, making those big body plays in crunch time? Should Brad Holmes pull the trigger on a trade for a pass rusher before the deadline? And when Ben Johnson walks back into Ford Field wearing Bears colors, how loud will you be? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this season is already shaping up to be one of the most dramatic we've seen in years, and your voice is part of this story. Because the truth is, Lions fans, this season feels different, and not just because of the names being added to the practice squad or the trade rumors floating around. It's the way this team is responding to adversity, the way they're carrying themselves after a tough loss, and the way they're speaking about what lies ahead. You can hear it in St. Brown's words, you can see it in Campbell's body language, and you can feel it in the urgency behind Brad Holmes' roster tweaks. This isn't a team satisfied with good enough. This is a team chasing something bigger, and every detail matters. Think back to Green Bay. The sting of that loss was obvious. The mistakes, the missed opportunities, the absence of impact players in key moments. That's why the push for Isaac Tesla's involvement has become such a hot topic. Fans saw the spark he brought in limited snaps. Coaches acknowledged it. And now it's about execution. Will the Lions actually follow through and unleash him? Because having that 6 feet 4 inches target in the red zone and on third downs could change everything for Jared Goff and this offense. And when you add that to the presence of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, and Sam Laporta, you're talking about an aerial attack that can stretch defenses thin and punish mismatches. The potential is there. It just has to be unlocked. On the other side of the ball, though, the questions linger. Pass rush. That's the word you keep hearing. If Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears offensive line, one that hasn't exactly been stellar, can't be pressured this week, then the alarm bells get louder. That's why names like DeMarcus Walker, Azeez Ojulari, Jalen Phillips, and Arden Key keep surfacing in trade chatter. These aren't just random rumors. They're answers to a problem that could derail the Lions' season if not addressed. We all know Detroit has the draft capital to make one of these moves happen. Late-round picks aren't going to mean much when your roster is already loaded with young talent. But adding a proven pass rusher who can get after the quarterback, that's the kind of difference maker that shifts the outcome of close games in November and December. And let's not forget, this is the window when championship teams are built, before the trade deadline, when contenders sharpen their weapons for the battles ahead. And there's another layer here, the psychological one. Ben Johnson. Ford Field is going to be electric because of him. Not because of what he's done in Chicago, because of what he represents. A coach who was part of building something in Detroit, who then chose to walk away and lead a rival. St. Brown said it best, the boos are coming, and the players are feeding off that energy. This isn't bitterness. This is motivation. It's the classic underdog storyline flipped on its head. The Lions are no longer the team people pity. They're the team with something to protect, their pride, their rise, and their home field. And nothing stirs the fire more than a familiar face trying to take it away from you. Dan Campbell knows it, too. He won't let his guys obsess over trick plays or flashy schemes. His focus is on the fundamentals, stopping the run, sealing off explosive plays, making the opponent beat you straight up. It's that blue-collar mentality that fits Detroit so perfectly. But make no mistake, behind that calm exterior, Campbell knows what this game means. He knows it's about sending a message, not just to the Bears, but to the rest of the league. The Lions aren't just another NFC North team anymore. They're the team you have to get through if you want the crown. And letting your former OC beat you in your own house? That's not an option. So here's where it all comes together. Depth moves like Monty Rice might not trend on social media, but they're the foundation that keeps the season alive. Playmakers like Isaac Tesla need to be unleashed if this offense wants to take the next step. The pass rush? It has to be addressed, whether that means elevating the guys already on the roster or pulling the trigger on a trade. And the Ben Johnson factor? That's fuel for a fire that could light up Ford Field like we haven't seen in years. This is the moment where fans make their voices heard, where every roar inside that stadium echoes the hunger of a city that's waited too long to see its team rise to the top. The Lions are building something special, and we're all watching it unfold week by week. But the question now is, what should come next? Should Brad Holmes roll the dice and trade for a pass rusher before it's too late? Should Dan Campbell commit to giving Isaac Tesla a bigger role in the offense immediately? And how do you, the fans, want to welcome Ben Johnson back to Ford Field, with boos so loud he feels them in his bones, or with silence that cuts even deeper? Drop your answers in the comments, because this isn't just a season, it's a story we're writing together, and your voices are part of the roar that's driving the Detroit Lions forward.